What's in your pocket right now? Your keys, wallet, your phone, maybe a pocket knife, or even a flashlight. Today, we're talking about handheld radios as everyday carry gear. Do you carry one every day? If so, what radio made the cut? Is it a rugged dual band workhorse, a tiny analog HT, or maybe something with APRS and digital modes in it? And if you don't carry one, why not? Is it size? Is it battery life? Practicality? Or do you just not find yourself using it enough? We're going to talk about what makes a good everyday carry radio. Some of the radios hams are carrying right now and why they're having an HT within arm's reach can turn an ordinary day into amateur radio opportunity. So grab your favorite handheld, check the battery indicator, and let's get going. This is the Ham Radio Guy Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Ham Radio Guy Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Ham Radio Prep and World Radio League. If you're studying for amateur radio license or looking to upgrade, Ham Radio Prep offers easy-to-follow courses to help you succeed, and World Radio League is building the future of competitive amateur radio. Check them out. Support the companies that support ham radio. Get a 10% discount when you use code Ham Radio Guy, and they are the official logger for World Radio WRTC this year. So very cool. I think that's phenomenal. They're using that logging program for WRTC, which will be coming up here just very shortly. Well, welcome to the podcast today. This is episode number 76. As we said, we're discussing HTs and everyday carry. And, you know, this is really where the show begins to come alive. So we are broadcasting from the W0MET studios. I'm Marvin Turner, your host, W0MET. And whether you're chasing parks on the air activations, building antennas in your backyard, or upgrading your shack, or just getting started your ham radio journey, you've found the right frequency today. Each episode brings the latest ham radio news, interviews, operators from around the world, gear reviews, operating tips, event coverage, news stories, the Ham Radio Guy joke of the week, and so much more. So I'm not just here to inform you, but entertain and inspire you to get on the air and educate you as well. So if you're new to the show, welcome aboard. And we thank you to all the returning listeners as well. Thank you for making this one of the fastest growing independent ham radio podcasts around. Before we get started, take a moment to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We can be found on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, or whatever your other favorite podcast app is. Be sure to leave a review and share with your friends, club members, and fellow operators. Word of mouth is the best advertising I can have, and I greatly appreciate every minute of that. Every subscription, comment, and every share helps more people discover the hobby we all love. You can also support the podcast through Patreon, affiliate links in the show notes, and by checking out our sponsors. Your show helps keep the microphones on, the antennas on the air, and allows us to continue to bring great content to you and from across the world with over 46 countries, our listeners around the world. So, well, and we're especially excited this month. This month, man, 5 years ago in 2021, I started this podcast. It's just kind of a fun little project through COVID. Didn't think it was going to turn into anything. And here we are with an incredible group of community listeners, supporters, and friends. And, you know, I've shared hundreds of stories, thousands of contacts. We've had lots of laughs together and just a passion for amateur radio that we continue to have each and every year. And it just grows a little bit stronger. And I just continue to have a lot of fun with this as well. Again, we try and continue the tradition of every 2 weeks. And so, you know, we're just really getting into this. And, you know, we're getting started today with something new. And I've got some big news to share with all of you. If you're watching this from YouTube, you will certainly see this, and you're going to hear a new voice on the air. I mentioned it last show that we're about to have a co-host. And somebody reached out, and we've been talking back and forth. And I think this is going to be a great fit. So let me introduce you to him now, Andrew W8 DMT. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, Marvin, how's it going?
I'm good. So glad to have you on the show. This has been something we've been talking about for 2 weeks now, and we're actually putting this live on the air. So very, very exciting stuff. So
yeah, can't wait to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself a little bit to the group and to the podcast here, and again, thanks for coming on and being part of the show here.
Well, I'm Andrew, W8DMT or Andy. I don't care, either one. I got my technician ticket about 4 years ago in 2022. That was about after my brother bugging me for better part of a decade to get my license. And I finally ran out of stuff to do, I guess, and looked into it and, started studying and got it. So, yeah, it's been a big rabbit hole ever since.
So, I mean, do you great coming into amateur radio? Are you glad to be here? You're glad to be a part of amateur radio? I mean, you've learned so much through it, or?
I'd say it's don't really stop learning. And I wish I would have listened to my brother 10 years ago, or 14 years now, because I feel like I'd be that much farther ahead with, the knowledge that you could learn doing all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I can be able to share and educate from you as well and things along the way. I've been doing this for about 30 years. And I continue to learn. And there's so much things I still don't quite understand sometimes. Some propagation, sometimes SWR, even just trying to figure out antenna configurations and phasings, those sort of things is just above me just a little bit here still. So I'm trying to learn those new things all the time and figure some of those things out when they talked about antennas and phase and things like that. And it's like, whoa, hold on, stop. Okay, help me back up and understand this a little bit, bring it back down to layman's terms and tell me how this works. So for sure. So well, cool. Well, welcome aboard. I'm glad you're on. And I know we might even get some special little extra voice in there once in a while as well. I think it's pretty cool. It sounds like, if I don't mind me sharing, your daughter also has her ham ticket, and you've been working back and forth with her as well. And she's, you guys are both gonna be working on your extra this year, right?
Well, that's the plan. I gotta convince her, because I told her after she got her general she could take a little bit of a break. Now I kind of want to, summer breaks full in effect. I want to kind of get her back studying again.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things I'll tell you from experience, and a lot of people that have told me over the years, when you get your general, you kind of want to go into trying to get into the extra right away too, because some of that stuff is still fresh in your mind, and having to let it go for a while and kind of forget some of the things that you learned in the general course, or you memorized, which I had to do. It takes a little bit to try and redevelop that memory again to bring some of those things back. And it comes back to you quicker, obviously, the second time, but while it's still fresh in your mind, it's probably a little easier. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into this in a minute here, but you did have your notes in front of you, right? The script as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the news? You want me to do the news?
Maybe you do it the first time, and I could get the flow of things.
This is one of those things we're just going to kind of learn as we go. And I know I kind of set them over a couple things, but let's go into the news for the week here. And I said I had that, but
my daughter, by the way, is going to be bummed that I'm doing this without her today.
Oh, I'm sure, right? No doubt. And we're going to go with this one being the news. I think this is it. If not, we're going to go with it anyway. On July 1st, 2026, a new Element 2 Technician Class Question Pool took effect for license examinations. Exam Tools Examination System, which is used, will automatically switch to the new pool and exams on July 1st. For ARRL VEC VE teams using online exams and an in-person session for remote video supervised sessions, no actions required. In the new pool, there are 409 questions in this pool, down slightly from the 412 in the previous pool. The pool also includes 3 diagrams used for some of the questions. View all current question pools on the NCVEC website, which can be found at www.ncvec.org. Now, this interesting story is the second one here that we have for the week here. And this is a little different. I did not know this myself, and kind of makes me think about it a little bit. Andy, have you used DMR at all?
I have not used DMR yet.
Okay. Well,
I don't have any radios that do DMR.
Something you might want to pay attention with here in this second story. If you're a DMR user, this next story is definitely for you and something you need to pay attention to. Faced with managing a finite universe of digital radio ID numbers, the global registry, radioid.net, has begun contacting users to verify their assigned IDs. An announcement on the registry's website said that the verification process, which began on the 1st of July, is expected to lead to the deactivation of ID numbers for account holders who do not respond to emails sent to them annually on the anniversary of the account creation. Ultimately, deactivated IDs will be marked from removal from the database and will then become available for reassignment to new users. For more details about the process, read the community notice posted at radioid.net. So, if you don't want to lose your ID, make sure your information is good in the radioid.net database, and so they can contact you and keep your same radio ID with some of your DMR stuff that you have. So I would be highly suggested. I think that would be a great thing to probably take a few minutes and do that. So this is all the amateur radio news we have this week with the release date of July 6th, 2026. Well, since we're kind of new in this a little bit, and I did not get the time to change over the joke this week in my pre-recorded setup, we're going to go ahead and bypass that one for this time. But, we will bring that back next week. So we'll have that available to us. So my apologies for this week for not having that one around. Some of you may say, oh, well, darn, others may say we're so glad. But again, I always think it's funny. I think it's a fine time to do it. It's funny. And Rick does a great job for us in 9GSU. This next segment is brought to you by Dakota Lithium. When you're out activating parks, operating during field day, setting up in a parking lot, or working from a remote campsite, power isn't something you want to worry about. That's why I trusted Dakota Lithium for the past 4 years. Actually, I should say 5 now. And I used also for field day. These batteries have powered my radios through Wisconsin winters, summer heat, Alaska adventures, and countless POTA activations. They've ridden through thousands of miles in my truck, flown across the country with me, and even become one piece of gear I never leave home without. I usually have one I try and keep around with me in my bag or my go bag and all my radio POTA stuff. So what I appreciate is they always just simply work. When it's time to get on the air, I know my battery's ready to go. They've held charge. I've had them sitting on a shelf for months. I go to fire them up and they still got power on them. So if you're looking for that reliable power for your ham radio station, portable operation, camping, RVing, or emergency preparedness, check out Dakota Lithium. Visit dakotalithium.com and use the promo code TheHamRadioGuy at checkout to save on your order. You'll find the link in the show notes. Dakota Lithium, power you can count on when it matters most. So, all right. Well, with that, let's get into the main topic. I know we're moving right along here, but heck, we're already 13 minutes more into the show, and by the time we get through this next section, we're definitely going to be 30 minutes in. So, again, we try and keep these segments usually around 45 minutes or so. So, let's see. Go into the next section. Perfect. So, this is really not going to be, again, we're talking about everyday carry here. And Andy, before we begin that question, do you carry a handheld radio with you all the time?
Yeah, usually I have 2 when I'm working.
You probably have a work one and a personal one, or what?
They're both personal, but usually the local FM repeater, and then one for digital too.
Okay. So when you run digital, what do you run, like a Fusion or a D-Link or D-Star?
Yeah, I got an FT5D for that.
Oh, you do? Yeah, that's a great little radio. In fact, that's one I've got sitting right here in front of me myself. That's what I like, and I got to make sure I get in front of the camera. That's one of my handhelds we'll talk about today. My other one that we'll get into is the Kenwood TH72. So that's a really good radio as well. So D72, yeah, THD72. And then I've got some DMR radios, and I've got I've got some Yaesu FT70s, so for sure. But before we get into all of those, I want to talk a little bit about, every ham that starts out, they usually start out with a handheld. And it sounds like just that's the case. Andy, do you have a mobile or any other radios as well?
Yeah, a couple mobiles, one in the truck, one in the one in the shack,
Okay.
a few HCs, a couple of HF radios.
Right. So I got another question we'll get into in just a minute here, but let me read this first. Is again, this is not about having the biggest station, the tallest tower, the most expensive gear. It's about something you can clip on your belt, toss in a backpack, slide in your truck console, and constantly be on the on the air anytime, anywhere. So I understand you're traveling across the country and that you're not always going to have ability to answer a repeater with a handheld. You just don't have coverage. I mean, I'm out here in rural Wisconsin, and the only reason I can have repeater coverage because I have one literally right here on my site. That certainly makes it, a little easier. But the next closest repeater is about 35, minutes away. Now I can hit that on the tower up at 60 feet from a mobile here in the shack. But other than that, handhelds won't get you everywhere. I understand that, but that's why we have mobiles with 50 watts. That certainly helps as well. And I want to take you back to a few years. I think we're going to take you actually all the way back to about 1995. And this is what got me into ham radio and where I started at. And I had a neighbor who carried a handheld everywhere. And one day I saw it in kind of an antenna sticking out of his pocket. And I kind of walked up on him and said, "Oh, you got a little, CB radio." And he goes, "No, it's ham radio." So I go, "Well, what's that?" So he pulled it out of his pocket and it started talking on a repeater that was about 45 minutes away. And that blew my mind. There was no wires, no base station, just a radio in his pocket that was reaching out that far. So, I mean, that repeater obviously had great coverage as well, but he was able to do that from a handheld. And I was pretty impressed by that. So that moment's kind of stuck with me, and I always remember that. And it wasn't long after that, he actually helped me get my no-code tech license back in 1995. And that neighbor kind of became my first Elmer. And, then we went to a ham fest a couple months later, and I was able to get a HT and, and move on from there. And then I've grown, tremendously in my ham radio accessories since then. But I think like we all do probably, right, Andy? When you kind of start and you get in, and then all of a sudden it's, we realized how much more you have, time after time. But I think it's that magic of the HT that really sparks curiosity and it draws people in. What about yourself? And is a similar story? You said your brother got you started, but, do you have people come up and ask you questions about curiosity or, if they wonder what you got a handheld for, people at work?
Yeah, sometimes not really at work, but, last year went to a pro motocross race and I ran into a guy I knew and I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he thought I was working because I had a radio on my on my hip. So he thought I was actual like event staff member, And I was like, "Oh no, just ham radio so I could find my brother because you got all those people crammed into one spot. Most of the time, the cell phones don't work very well.
That's very.
So we always take our HCs with us so we can find each other.
Yeah, that's a very good point. No, for sure. No doubt. I always try and if I'm traveling or something, I always try and throw a couple of HTs in the vehicle. Just, if they can throw in a couple of vehicles, that we're convoying or something, or traveling together, just because cell phones may not work, that sort of thing. And especially go to events, it gets really crowded. Cell phones can kind of become, text messaging you may get through, so it can definitely be diminished for your service during those times. And, having an HT with you, again, whether you're at a park or a coffee shop, a public event, someone, might come up and ask you, "Hey, what is that?" And you can introduce them into ham radio just like that. And you never know who you're going to inspire, who you might, get interested. So carrying an HT every day just makes sense. If storm comes in, you can listen to the National Weather Service off of, several radios. You can do APRS location off a lot of APRS off your handhelds. And, that's one reason I definitely carry the 5D myself because I like the APRS part of that, handy. And it's got fusion. It's got the FM, analog. So a lot of varieties in that little radio. And what's the reason you got the 5D?
Pretty much to have the digital stuff and the APRS. I really like that too.
Yeah.
The only downfall is battery life was not something they were thinking about when they made that.
No, you're absolutely right. I should probably go get one of those external batteries from like W8 N0 or AEX and W8AEX. I can't remember how cost on off the top of my head, but he makes external batteries, 3D prints them and makes cases for them, and they're pretty slick actually. So I should see if I can get a thicker, bigger battery for that myself. That would be a great idea to have because the battery life is maybe 8 hours out of it. Just
Yeah.
and then if you talk on it very much, you're done after that. So I do always have a spare battery with me on that one too, but it's one of those things that I have to have my whole 2-meter VHF UHF bag with me all the time with that to carry the extra stuff. So I don't always have that with me, but the second thing is, again, I kind of mentioned a minute ago, is that local awareness. Whether it's something happening in the community, if somebody on the repeater just jumps on, you can hop on right away. That's one reason I keep the HT myself. Plugged in. I have my own local repeater. I've got a few people that kind of hop on the repeater here locally and check in on things once in a while. So, even on the busiest days, you can kind of still stay connected, which is pretty cool. So, and, I think a lot of us have probably heard the local, channels recently, other YouTubers and stuff talking about, repeaters and 5.2 and, is it busy or is it not busy? And, we talk about repeaters being dead all the time, and carrying an HT kind of helps fix that. It lowers the barrier. You're already ready. You don't have to worry about it, and it doesn't hurt to have one sitting there on your table, on your counter, on your desk, whatever it might be. I've got my desk. I keep one on here. It's usually turned on. I don't have it turned on today. I've been out mowing and doing other stuff, but I don't carry one with when I'm mowing because I'll never hear it anyway. But you keep one at home quite often, Andy, or no?
Not if I have the UHF VHF on.
Your mobile,
but yeah, if there's a storm coming in and I feel more comfortable unplugging certain things, I'll have the HT on so I can monitor the local repeater.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like mine those sort of things myself. Like I said, I usually carry one with me even when I'm traveling to the cities. I'll have one in the truck always. I don't always have one inside in the evening because I'm inside kind of a brick building and it's really hard to get out from there. I should really find a way to see if my external antenna or have a portable J pole, a roll up J pole, and I should mount that to kind of the curtain rod and see if I can hold that up there and see if that works and how well that would get me out with just the HT still. So, but again, you can be listening to Skywarn and a storm or whatever, or something more serious. And definitely these things can be used in, real world situations and they're really great to have. Again, we can monitor those NOAA alerts with them. And even some of the radios will trigger, the alarms for National Weather Service. Does the 5D do that? I want to say it does.
If it does, I don't have it set up. I've never heard it
that set up
go off anything.
I want to say it does, but I could be wrong about that. And I know one of the, I did not bring that in. I was going to bring that in today too. Was that the BTEC Pro? I think it has a weather alert on it. Just pull it up and look at that myself real quick. Why not? Trying to think whatever other handhelds on top of my head that BTEC Pro weather. Spell weather. There we go. Yep, it features a built-in NOAA weather receive that always allows you to scan for local weather channels and set up severe weather alerts. So that's why I thought that BTEC UV Pro. I know a lot of other hams that are carrying that, and that's a really cool radio. And I like that one myself, to be honest. It's like I said, it's in my truck currently. It's USB-C charging. It's super easy to run. You can program it with your phone, which is really cool. And I like that. And I don't know if I have. Do I have screen sharing set up? I can bring that back up. I do. Let me see if I can go to that screen real quick. Set up screen sharing. It's going to work. Yeah, but then I gotta move my screen over here so I know which one. All right. Let me see all the apps I have on my phone too, but well, we'll bring up the screen here. This is the BTEC GMRS. That's a GMRS Pro. Let's go to the BTEC UV Pro. And that's this one here. And this is I like this a lot. This is a good radio. I mean, and it's, you know, $165. I want to say if you find them online, you can get them through like Amazon Prime days. They're a little cheaper. You know, they're not bad. Again, Bluetooth app programmable, dual band radios, and it actually connects to the phone, to the iPhone, which is really cool. It's really slick. I've not tried the airband reception yet. I do like that. Here's those weather alerts. Again, it's using USB-C charging, which is slick. I want to say the battery life is pretty good on it too. I haven't had any problems with that yet at all. So probably should get a little bit better antenna for it, but yeah, this is not bad. You can find them on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the affiliate account in the show notes on Amazon where to get this, and you can find it. Again, you're always helping the show out by doing that, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. BTEC UV Pro. Again, 164 online too, and they come in two different colors, brown or black. So I know some people may prefer that versus the other one, but yeah, not bad at all. So, all right. So, have you looked at that one at all before, Andy?
I believe so. I thought there was more colors. Maybe it's a different BTEC.
It might be a different BTEC.
But I do like the Bluetooth feature. That's nice.
Yeah, that Bluetooth feature is pretty cool. So I've been pretty happy with that. Like I said, it's worked out pretty good. I don't see any other colors on their website listed. I haven't seen anything besides the brown and black. So the tan and black, I should say, whatever you want to call it. So that's all it's showing. But yeah, I chose black. And all my handhelds are black. That's just the way it is. So.
Yep.
But
common.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. Again, the FT5D. Again, you know, I bet I left that on, and it is dead at the moment. So I guess that one.
Yeah, mine's charging.
Yeah, mine's. I have the charger in the. I know I left it on the other day, and I did not put it back in the charger the other day, and it's sitting over on the counter behind me here. So, but again, a lot of these radios have APRS in them too. They have a built-in GPS, which helps out with APRS stuff, and provide you location if needed emergency. You know, you might be able to get some coordinates off of that. You know, one thing I'm trying to use with the DH72 is the ability to sync a serial port to my computer and get the GPS from this into the computer, providing GPS to the computer. And I haven't quite figured this out yet. If somebody knows anything about how to do that on the THD72, I know a lot of people have 74, 75s. I got this first deal about last November for like $60. So this is like a $200 radio, and it was brand new in the package for $60. I'm going, it's better than nothing. And this one actually does, if you can find these, this will actually do your duplexing you need for satellite work, for doing satellites. So you can work satellites off of the DH72, which is kind of cool. So that's another reason I got it. Now, I'll be honest, I've not done it since then. I've not done it since I got it. I just need to program the frequencies in here for doing that. And I lost my file that had all that information in there. I don't know what I've done with it. I thought it was in my computer and in a radio program, programming code and a code plug of mine, and I do not find it anymore. So after, you know, when you program a radio for doing satellite work, you have to worry about the Doppler shift. And so you need to be able to rotate the dial every, you know, couple of seconds when you start to lose that fade of the satellite. You got to change over to the Doppler to get to the other frequency on the offset of that. So that's what I haven't programmed in there for that purpose. But I'd like to be able to do it with that. And I haven't had time to even mess with that stuff. I've been so many farming projects and things going on that ham radio HT projects have not been my element to be able to get things done. So have you done much with like HT programming? And I mean, what do you use for programming? We'll get into that in a second here, but
I just kind of manually
do it.
There's obviously some radios that are a lot easier and better to do it manually than others, but most of it's all just manual.
So would recommend probably two different systems. And even for some education on yourself here is that I'm looking at is RT Systems. If you can find a radio and go check their system and to see if they have a programming cable and the software. And they're usually $25 to $50, depending on what you're getting there, whether you need the radio and programming cable or just need, one or the other. And then the other program is Chirp, CHIRP. And Chirp is good too. It's for Mac, Linux, Windows. You can do it across the board. And it works out pretty good. But like when I was trying to program the DH72 the other day, it did not have the ability to do some of the secondary features. So it's very, very basic. You're just inputting, plus and minus, your repeater offsets in there, and that's it, and your tones. And, if you want to try and do APRS programming and some of the other things, at least for the D72 the other day, it did not have it. I could go back and probably program the D72 with my Windows laptop if I chose to do that. I just don't want to. I don't want to have to go to Windows. So if I bought the D74, 75, I know RT Systems does have the updated software for that, and they could be done with Mac or Windows, whatever. But the D72, they never went back and did the Mac version of it. So I'm kind of SOL there, as they per se, But the Kenwood, it's one of the newer feature packed HTs that the D75, and you compare it with things for like WinLink and sending message emails, whatever. When the other traditional infrastructure is down, you can use your HT to do that, and the UV Pro will do that as well. Again, I wish I brought that in for my truck today. I did not do that. So, but in my mind, that's kind of when it goes from not just being a hobby anymore, but it's really capability of what you can do. And KM4ACK, I think he's really good at doing that. He will show you how to maximize his HTs. I know he does have, a couple, HF radios, but most things he does, he talks about how to do it with a handheld. And, he has a really great infrastructure in his area to be able to support that as well, which does help because there is no, WinLink gateways that are VHF near me to be able to do some of the things that he does, which is nice for him to be able to have that. Have you done any type of WinLink off HTs or anything like that yet, Andy?
I have not. I do have a WinLink email, but I do have to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
I know I have it far enough as to have it all set up with like Vera HF and all that stuff, but I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes. Maybe we'll try and find a show we can maybe walk through some of that and try and figure some of that out. The problem is I'm not on a Windows system anymore, and I'm still struggling. I think it's just some configuration settings within Pat WinLink, within Pat menu that, or I guess people just call it Pat. It's the Mac version of or kind of the Mac capability of doing WinLink for like WinLink Express. And I do have that on one of my laptops set up. I mean, I could do it with my laptop if I wanted to, or I think I did have it set up on my Windows desktop as well. When I had one, and when I was in Massachusetts, I'd use the Windows for a lot of work stuff for testing, and so that was really nice to have. But I've not set that one back up. In fact, I'm running two Macs I got 2 screens below me, 2 screens above me, and the top one is I'm running all radio stuff with, and then the bottom is all my production stuff and normal, call it email and web searching. I'll use it for that type of stuff along the way. So, but I again, I'm not in a great area to be able to do a lot of handheld stuff. When I'm in the Twin Cities, some of I can reach some repeaters with HTs, but it's kind of faded. It's a little tough, and I've not seen any WinLink gateways that are VHF in the Twin Cities that are close. So I've not done, because I can use your iPhone and use a program called Radio Mail, and you can Bluetooth the UV Pro, the BTEC UV Pro with your phone, and then you can use your WinLink Radio Mail program with your, I think it's with your iPad or your iPhone, either one, because Radio Mail is on both applications, and you can send WinLink right over the air that way. But a lot of people also use the MobiLink, which is pretty cool. You can take your HT and pair that Bluetooth the MobiLink to your. Let me see if I have that bag. Hold on one second here. Talk for a second.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool how you can do some of that WinLink stuff with HTs along with other stuff.
So this is my little bag. I keep all my VHF and UH stuff in. It's a pretty thick little bag actually. So, looking to see if I have handy where it's at. So I can use it with my HT. Probably a little bit of noise here coming on. I've got the open spot, which is pretty cool. So I can use that with my HT, which works out pretty good. I like that. And then trying to see where oh, there it is. It is down in here. So this is the MobiLink 3. I do not have the version 4. And I just 3D printed a little thing that goes over the top so that I can slide this off and not keep the button from being pressed all the time, because there's a little button right here in the middle that will do that. Let's see if it turns on. Yeah, looks like it's going to turn on right there. So kind of press that, Bluetooth this to your phone, and then you got a couple cables that will plug in here. So one cable plugs in here and goes into your radio. And there's a USB charger here for a micro USB port for that too. I think the new one's got USB-C, I think. And the MobiLink is pretty cool too, to be able to have with your handhelds. And I like that as well. I'll shut that back off actually before I turn that on. Make sure it's shutting off. So you can use MobiLink with your HTs as well, and Bluetooth, and get WinLink messages out that way. That works out pretty good. The guy who invented Radio Mail had a Bluetooth connection adapter called BB Link, I think it was. And I think he quit making that one now for the THD75. So, but yeah, it's that's another device you could use if you still find it or you want to use it. So those are definitely some various ways to send WinLink via your phone. And again, APRS is pretty easy to set up on most of the radios. So now we've talked about some capability of what these HTs can do. Again, what HT do you carry? And again, I know it's not one size fits all here, and I think that's obviously one of the best parts of the hobby. Again, I do carry the UV Pro, the BTEC UV Pro with me quite a bit. You said you carry the Yaesu FT5D, which
Yep.
your guys are watching on the YouTube. You can see this. If you're just an audio podcast, you won't catch it. But what do you what else do you carry besides the 5D?
Well, I either have just for in the garbage truck, I have I think it's TP5 Baofeng,
Okay.
which I'm not even sure what a TP5 is supposed to be, but just a cheap one off Amazon, you know.
Sure.
But it works good enough to hear the repeater. I'm pretty close to it though.
That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you is like, okay, do you carry a Baofeng at all? Do you have any Baofengs? Because quite honestly, I think those are probably a very, very popular starter radio for most newly licensed technicians is they can get a $20 handheld and it's, you know, it's exactly that. But I bought one and I used it once on a trip and it got dusty and dirty and I literally was like it I could just never recover it, never get to the screen, and it just wasn't worth it. It's like I'm not spending $20 on a radio again like that. It's like, yes, I could buy 5 of them for the price or more for the price what you pay for, you know, one of these, you know, FT5Ds, but these also have more you know, dust proof and everything else to them. But I mean, nothing else. You can instead of spend, you know, 200 or 300 on this, you can go buy the BTEC UV Pro for 165, and you know, maybe you're not quite as much, but it's still a very durable, rugged radio. So, you know, that's one reason I've always, if I'm going to buy something like that, I want to make sure I invest in it well. And, you know,
Well, my first one was a UV82.
oh,
So I think it was like $42 when I got it.
yeah.
It has 2 PTT buttons, which is kind of nice, you know, to flip back and forth.
Between
But
A and B mode or A and B.
yeah, it's got like 2 PTTs, so you can have both of them. It's not really like dual receive, obviously, but you can flip back and forth between one and the other. And I just thought, I was like, okay, maybe you can use that for satellite too. But I drive a garbage truck, so I'm bouncing around all day and had it in there for like 2 years, and now the numbers are wearing off the buttons, but it still works.
Oh, yeah. If you had a choice of a handheld to buy today, what would be your dream handheld?
Hmm. I think I like the um 5D, the Yaesu, but maybe like the battery of Kenwood or something. You always hear about batteries and other radios being a lot better than Yaesu.
Right. Yeah. Well, the THD 75, that battery sucks too. So, I mean, because there's some Bluetooth, APRS. I mean, it has just a whole lot of crap going on at once, and the battery life is very poor on that one as well. But the extended batteries definitely do help.
I tell you, one battery that is good though is I have a Wushan.
Oh,
It's what model number is that thing? Hold on a second.
yeah. So,
I don't know what the model number is on that box, but it's just a dual receive. I think he does crossband repeat and stuff too, but
interesting.
that battery lasts forever.
Huh. Yeah, I had a bunch of Wuxans. They were I couldn't even tell you what model they were. I had like 6 of them that came from an auction, and we ended up just donating them to the club and putting them into a go box. They could be programmed for whatever, and they were pretty wide open because I think you could even do GMRS on them, I believe. And you know, that was, you know, good for, you know, the club for like an emergency event or something. If they needed it, they could have those handy. And oh, I know it was the Anytone 878 radios is the one I'm talking about. We'll come into those in just a minute here. I was thinking about we'll bring that back. But I think again, I've always been kind of a Yaesu handheld guy. I do have the Anytones. I've got the Yaesu FT70. I've got the Kenwood now, and I've got the BTEC UV Pro. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 handhelds. So, you know, probably, you know, 5 more than I need. Because I'd have one for me, one for the wife who's also licensed. But if I had an ideal radio, now what would be missing is any type of GPS or APRS features. But something like the Motorola All Mode VHF, UHF 7,800 megahertz, or a Tate like TP 9900. They have VHF, UHF 7,800 megahertz. You can, kind of an all band, all mode type of handheld, which are really slick because you can just, go from, GMRS to, ham radio bands. You can listen to like, any type of VTech or VLAWs. Some of your other business band radio frequencies, you can program GMRS in them. They're P25, they're NXDN, they're DMR. You can program DMR in those radios. They're just all over the board, and they just have a wide band receive, which is pretty cool. So I like that, but those radios you're talking $3,000. So, those are not your normal everyday carrier radios that people have, but they're usually producing 5 to 10 watts, and they have really a lot of capability, and they're usually really good audio on them for the most part. But you're right. If I could get Yaesu to build probably that 5D with a keypad, maybe a little bit larger screen, and a better battery, that would probably be where I'd want to go as well. It does do a lot, and you can open it up, and talk some other, if you had to do GMRS or something, you could. But the reason I choose Yaesu is probably because it's a very rugged build, and it's usually got very good, dependable performance on it, which I think is great for most of the HTs. And I'd probably say pretty similar for ICOM as well. They have great audio. They're solid receivers, and they just work when you need to work. So I can't complain about them. I'm always a little concerned in buying some of those Chinese radios of whatever, whether it's TID radio, Retevis radio, the Baofangs, anything else like that. I'm just not a fan of those handhelds. I don't like buying them. The reason I bought that one BTEC was because it had the Bluetooth capability to be able to program it with your HT, which is really cool. And then you can do, since you can program it, since it has Bluetooth, you can also program or use it with your phone for, like I said, for WinLink, which is pretty cool too. So I wish I would see, I think Kenwood does. It has that Bluetooth capability in it. And that thing's really packed full of features. But again, it has poor battery life. So, they're really great radios, those Kenwood D75s, and it's really great for a lot of data and awareness tools and weather and things like that. But I don't know that I want to pay $600 for an HT either. Andy?
Yeah, I don't either.
I
got mine on Black Friday, so I did save a little bit of money when I got mine.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I'm not sure I want to go down that road. Now, I bought some Anytones back. Oh my gosh. I had to buy them back in early 2017, 2018. I still have them. And there's, I have a couple of them. I think I have 2 of them, and a couple chargers, a couple batteries extra for them. They're, I'll call them primarily analog DMR radios. And again, they're really popular with the DMR crowd. And if you have good DMR service around you, then, it's a really great thing to have. Or if you're running DMR, off of a hotspot, and, you can hit a lot of talk groups around the country, around, worldwide, a lot of digital networks. And that's a strong everyday carry option. But again, if you have to have either really good DMR repeaters around you, or you've got to have internet for your hotspot of some sort, whether it's some type of like a Raspberry Pi or a Zoom spot, your open spot, whatever you have, you got to have good internet for those to work. And so I'm not so hip on that to be able to make that work. Now, again, I can do Yaesu System Fusion off of like my open spot and talk on some talk groups that way as well. But again, I've got to have an internet option there available to be able to reach out and talk to those. I've stood on my back porch and talked to Japan over a digital talk group. Have you gotten into any of those digital talk groups at all? You done any of that? Talk like America Worldwide or anything like that? Or
Yeah, I have. Um, I know the local repeater down here. I have done it on, and that was before I really knew that if I changed it on the repeater, everyone that's listening to that repeater, I guess, changes the room also,
Yes.
which I didn't know at the time. And which no one said nothing. I just found out later because I was driving home or something from work on a different one, and then all of a sudden it's on a different room. Oh, then it's on a different room. So it kept changing. I was like, what is going on here? So that's how I figured that one out.
Gotcha.
And and I also found out that the maybe DMR is the same way, but the system fusion repeaters, or maybe it's just a digital mode in general, but you can't necessarily talk to them very far away. But man, you can be a long ways away and still hear them just fine.
Um, what do you mean? Because like I can be, as long as I'm close to my hotspot, or I can touch my hotspot with my HT, I can talk to them, and they can be anywhere in the world, which is really cool.
Well, I mean, it's like
Digital.
as far as like the repeater itself, I might not be able to like connect to it when I hold the X button or whatever.
Right.
But if they're talking on digital and I have it set up to receive the digital, I could still hear them
Yes.
for miles.
Oh, right. No, absolutely. Yeah, that makes a difference. So, um, yeah, it's one of those things where, again, if I'm on my hotspot or something, I can talk to them locally and talk around the world with it, which is really pretty cool. I, I, I've used it a few times here and there. I mean, I've got a hotspot sitting right over here to my left, that's always on constantly 24/7, 365. I'm pretty sure it's connected, but I don't keep it on. I don't keep the HTM frequency to be able to listen to the hotspot. And it's usually like on, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on it. It's either on the Yaesu System Fusion group, or one of my channels I have there, like it's no longer called Do Now. Um, and then the other was like an America something. I'm drawing a blank on it again. I haven't been on those groups for a long time. I'm just not a big HT guy anymore, and I don't really know why, because it really has a lot of great things. You can talk around around the country with it, but I love the HS side of it. I think that's once I got my journal, I just fell in love with HF, and I just kind of forgot about HT stuff. But it's something we really should, as I kind of said in the very beginning, you really should carry an HT with you. And again, I usually have it with me. I don't always have it on, but it's always with me at least. And you know, I do like listening to things. I can sit here in the office and in the studio in the shack and just talk, or listen to a lot of people talk back and forth all the time. But and you kind of get a mix of people of conversations, and you hear somebody calling out from Europe or some other country. Is like, that's really freaking cool, and I like that part of it. So did you what's the long I've talked to Japan from Massachusetts on an HT. And if you could tell someone you could do that, I mean, again, that's kind of a showstopper too, to tell people, hey, look at this. I'm going to key up and we're going to talk to, Singapore or something. You're going to talk to Germany, on an HT. And it's like, how are you doing that? It's like, well, because it's through internet relay, but
Yeah.
it's still very cool in that regards.
Yeah, I think when I got mine, I for sure I talked to someone in uh Great Britain somewhere, and I want to say Isle of Man too.
Oh, really?
So that was pretty cool. I didn't even know where it was at the time.
Yeah. Some of these things, the islands, you have to look up and go, where is this? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things talking HTs today. We've kind of, shared a little bit of talking about, the, ICOM and Yaesu and Anytones, and the Kenwoods. But, a lot of people, again, go for those Baofeng and Rediffs, and a lot of people use these radios to get into the hobby. They're affordable. They're kind of easy to program, but not great. They definitely get you on the air, and it doesn't take much to doesn't take a lot of expensive gear to get in there. At least you can hear and talk on a channel if you want to. But again, we all probably have a variety of HTs that are sitting around and listening to them. But and I can't really say that I have one radio that is better than the other. it's one of those things that, if I want to do X, I'll probably pull out the Kenwood D72. If I want to do Y and I want to do more APRS stuff, I'm probably going to pull out the FT5D. So it's, if I'm trying to listen to weather alerts, I might have my UV Pro on because I know it does it really well. So, but being in a metal Faraday cage like I am here in the shed here, I pretty much have even my Midland NOAA radio will not pick up alerts from the National Weather Service. And it will beep at me quite often saying, hey, we have no service. So my shed is a big Faraday cage. So it's one of those things that it's hard to even get weather alerts in here. So that makes it really tough. But, if you're not living in a metal shed, then, you can probably get out a lot easier. And determining which HT is the best is, someone, comes up on YouTube and creates a clickbait title, says, this is the best HT of all times. And it's like, maybe for you, maybe it is, but for me, it may not be. And you have to find with what best fits you. Do you find that, Andy, that your radios, you kind of change it up depending on what you need to do?
Yeah, and where I go, because obviously, this past weekend, pro motocross race, I took a cheaper one, not the FT5D.
Right.
So I was like, oh, they got a lot of rain the night before. I was like, I don't want to take the nice one.
Yeah. So, I mean, a single band radio maybe do just fine. A dual band, depending on what your area is. If you've got active VHF and UHF repeaters, then a dual band would make a lot of sense. If you've got APRS digipeaters in the area, it probably makes sense. But, is it small enough to be able to slide in your pocket, clip on your belt? Do you have the local repeater frequencies programmed for that area? And, especially for the ones that you might be able to use the most. And I've kind of started doing that. I've create, in my code plugs, I'll have something for Minnesota. I'll have a section for Wisconsin. I'll have, some GMRS I can monitor. I've got, some even, like 20 different, I'll call them Alpha through Zulu. There goes the handheld. It's automatic power off. So annoying on the D72. But I just have the most common, and I call them Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, go on all the way down to Zulu. They're single channels that are not repeaters for ham radio. And, it's kind of an active list. And those may vary by different repeater councils. If you're in the the Southeast Repeater Council, may be much different than like a Twin Cities Repeater Council or the Minnesota, upper region of the Midwest here, Repeater Council. They may have different non-repeater frequencies that they might consider Alpha through Zulu for emergency communication. So, and just be aware of those, that they do exist. And a lot of people will keep those handy as well. So if I say go to channel Alpha, well, I can't really tell someone what that is, or I can tell someone what that is. It's like 145.23, whatever. But, if someone out in Colorado says, hey, we have an Alpha channel, it might be 144.52. So it may be completely different. So do you program any just single, off frequencies that maybe you and your brother, quite often, like, you'll hear, if you go to Hamfest, people just pick all these different frequencies and they'll go to specifically just because you don't want to go to 5.2 because everybody's on 5.2. But if you go to
we usually have was that 146, 430 is one we usually use.
Yeah.
Even though I went to Hamvention, there's a lot of people on that one too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah, they're on every frequency there. It's across the board, but definitely those are channels that people use for community events like races and any type of other public service, and that's kind of where the HTs come in great for those sort of things. Maybe it's for some type of field operation and talking, Roger to Larry across the field, trying to say, yep, go ahead and pull the antenna up, or, go ahead and start the process. And, it's kind of funny. I was at field day and we didn't have a chance to even talk about field day today. Man, oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that too. We're an hour into this already. It's like time goes so quick, but,
Yeah.
have you used, I've used an HT for local parades and things like that before. How about yourself? Any type of public events or?
Yeah, I did a what was that, half marathon, right, like a month after I first got licensed.
Oh, wow.
So that was I didn't feel like I knew at all what I was doing, but it was fun.
Yeah, it's good for sure. And I know there's like a bike thing going on this next weekend, and it's like there is no way you can even use a handheld. Barely get out with a mobile to do this bike race that's from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, down to Winona. So it's like they're trying to set up a couple of repeaters and things along the way, but you have to have more than.
You need like a crossband repeat in a car or something.
Crossband repeat, and they've got some, I think, a mobile repeater they are setting up at some point. But it is what it is. So, but I mean, it's again, the handhelds have their perfect use case for monitoring, checking in at weekly nets, listening to severe weather, whatever it might be. And again, you have a lot of different handhelds based on what you want to actually use it for. And it's not like Andy's kind of be a newer ham of a couple of years here now. He's done the same thing. Based on what he wants to do, and which handheld he might take to an event to get dusty and dirty, or if he just carrying it to work. But this is kind of the challenge I want to be able to throw out to you today. Just pick one and carry it. Have it with you. May not always have it on because it may not be appropriate in all events, but one of those things that I've done before, I will throw a little dongle into the side of it for audio, turning over to the airport and listen to the airport when I'm sitting at the airport, and I'll listen to the flights coming in. So it's got the airport receive, and I like listening to flight control. So old Earth to Major Tom. So
I kind of did that. This weekend too. But instead of airplanes, I did the Peacock TV broadcast for the races.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Yeah. So,
so we heard the whole thing, and then we could hear the directors and stuff in the background. Oh, which camera goes where? And, oh, you start in 3, 2, 1, come back from commercial, all that stuff.
Wow. See, that's pretty cool to be able to listen to that. So again, the capability of things you can do with HTs, you can listen to quite a bit. They have a lot of open receive about them. And I guess the challenge I'm going to say is just pick one, make it your radio, and make it for everyday carry for the next week. And then, maybe you try week 2 and week 3 and see how often you're using it. See who you talk to, see what you can hear. Maybe it almost becomes a more norm for you to be able to carry it every day. And again, you never know who you might spark an interest with. Same way that happened for me in 1995 when, someone had an HT in their pocket and got me into, ham radio based on what he could show me he was doing. And, that might happen for you. You might spark somebody else's interest and, say, hey, what is that? And, you can show them and tell them all about ham radio based on the HT, which is pretty cool. So it's not just the gear. It's really about the connections. And that's the beauty of this hobby here. So, just that connection. I remember that story. It's gone back 30 years ago and I still remember it. So whether you're a seasoned operator or just getting started, don't underestimate the power of that little HT and what it can do. Again, whether you're going to the races, you're going to the airport, receive capability, you're going to be listening to local weather, talking on local repeater, and trying to revive those repeaters a little bit and get used to there. Quite often when I am sitting somewhere waiting for my wife, or when I get in my vehicle, W0 MET monitoring mobile, how often do you get on that air, Andy, yourself?
Not as much as I should, but I try to, um, if I'm not doing POTA, I try to in the truck at least once a week.
Yeah.
Throw my call sign out when I'm driving home or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do it quite often when I'm driving. In fact, I've got my radio set up, my mobile radio set up so I can rotate the dial between cities as I go. I know where I'm going or what cities I'm going to or going through, and I will quite often call out as I go through. So as long as I'm not listening to the radio or doing something else and get distracted once in a while, but if somebody does call up on the radio, I can at least hear them and go from there. Um, so again, we've talked about a lot of different handhelds today. You have to find what best fits you. Again, we're not going to pick one that says, ICOM, Yaesu, Kenwood, Retevis, BTEC, whatever UV, or Baofangs. I'm not going to say which one is the best because you have to find what the best fits you, best fits your budget, and has the features that you have the capability of using in the area you're in. Again, I'm in rural Wisconsin because if I didn't have a repeater here, that Yaesu system fusion for FT5D would do me very little. I don't think there's even one up in Rhinelander where my wife lives. So that's, something you have to figure out and what works out best for you in that regard. So I hope that you will take the challenge, start to carry a handheld more. That's kind of one of the things, again, I may not always have it on, but at least I'm carrying it with me because if a weather pops up or something else happens, I have the capability of having a handheld with me. If emergency happens, I'm in a store or something else, I might be able to call on a local repeater and say, "Hey, Mayday, I have an emergency." You might be able to use it for some reason. Those things happen. People do listen. It's amazing how many lurkers are out there on the repeaters, always listening, but nobody gets on and says anything. So, do you find that to be the case too, Andy, in Michigan?
Sometimes they're booming the repeaters, and sometimes they're quiet for a little bit. And I did hear, this is a few years back, I think now. I did hear an old guy come on asking for help, but some other local ham was quick to respond. And I don't know, old timer, didn't have a cell phone or something and had a car problem or something.
Yeah.
So, but he had radio.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of countless lives have been saved via HF radio. And I'm sure, they have with, 2-meter UHF, VHF as well. So you just never know. Well, Andy, you have any other good words of wisdom for kind of wrapping this up?
Mainly if you use repeater book, I noticed on there the other day, last week, that it looks like they have a new feature on there to where you can program repeaters straight to your radios. It looks like it's paid, a paid option or whatever, but it looks like it's just certain ICOM radios. But if you're an ICOM guy, then maybe check it out. Maybe it'll work for you.
Huh. That's very cool. I'll have to check that out myself. I know you just briefly mentioned that to me today. I'm glad you brought that back up. And the other thing is, oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank on all of a sudden? It was right at the top of my head just a moment ago. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Maybe I can pull up my email real quick before we check out with this. What is the one? I talked to the guy a couple times here. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on this. It's not Ham. No, not Ham Radio Deluxe. I'm trying to look and see. It's basically a way to program your radio with a online guide. And I want to say it's like Ham Alert. No, it's not Ham Alert. It's let's see if I can just come up with if it's quickly in a quick search. KM4ACK did a video on it and a couple other people, but Oh, wait, no, Repeater Start. That's the other one. That's what it's called, Repeater Start. So if you haven't checked out Repeater Start, go check that one out as well. That's kind of a cool program to be able to use to program. He's got stuff in there you can do, and that will give you Repeater Start. Come on. Of course, it's not going to find it for me. There's more of a premium paid and an app both, but it's an open source mapping application for amateur radio and GMRS radios. Help you find program and local repeaters. It's got an online guide. So it's kind of, you can do an offline directory as well. So if you haven't used Repeater Start or heard of that before, go check that out. Luke runs that one, and he's pretty good as well. So something to think about. So anyway, there's some great options for you folks. I hope that you found this information informative and educational. And again, hope you'll take the challenge for this week. So with that, again, anything else, Andy, before we check out?
No, I think that's about it for me.
I think there's 2 days left, today and tomorrow, left over for 13 colonies. If you not got all of those, FIFA, a World Cup, there's still some stations available there for getting on the air, and churches and chapels be on the air in September.
I think we have lighthouses on there coming up in August or something.
Lighthouses will be on the air in August. Huntsville, I will not be at Huntsville, but I will not be able to make that this year. So, but we'll definitely put that in the next episode. We'll make some notes for that and add that to it. So, all right. Well, a big thank you and shout out to all the Patreon supporters for making the Ham Radio Guy podcast possible. Your contributions help keep the content coming and the mics on. If you're looking for all things ham radio, visit our Patreon page and patreon.com/the Ham Radio Guy, where you'll find exclusive content, product reviews, exciting blog posts, and so much more. So I want to thank Andy, W8DMT, for coming in and being a feature co-host with me here. And thanks for joining in on the conversation today, Andy. It's very good to having you. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
Looking forward to having more content and more information coming to us. So with that, can't really see I've got anything more pushing for this week. So stay in the loop. Join us in the conversation on your favorite podcast platform. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and stay in touch for more information. Until then, 73.